Hi, everyone. Did you know that a 2012 study showed that EFT tapping, a 50-minute session, showed a 24% reduction in cortisol levels afterwards? That's incredible. I am Dr. Arlene Diamco, the multidimensional MD, and thank you for joining me. I have a great episode for you today on EFT tapping or emotional freedom technique and the meridians behind them. So these are the acupuncture meridians. And this is a brief introduction, but also a closer look at each of the points at the same time so that you can have more understanding about why these tapping points are so helpful. So first of all, what is EFT tapping, or EFT for short, emotional freedom technique? It is something that was developed by an engineer, Gary Craig, based on the work of a psychologist, Roger Callahan. And it used acupuncture or acupressure points to smooth out the energy within the body. So the meridians in the body are from traditional Chinese medicine and other modalities, and these are whole systems of medicine. And I have my model here, my acupuncture guy, but there's all these lines here that represent the different meridians. And by tapping on these various meridians while saying or thinking certain things, you can smooth out short circuits in the body and the mind and the emotions. So it helps you with emotional processing, mental processing, and even physical processing, because we are body, mind, and spirit, body, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings all together. And what we do with EFT tapping is that we identify the short circuits, or the resistance, and then we smooth it out. It's just like if you had blocked plumbing or a static in the field or a literal electrical short circuit. So EFT tapping is a way to reconnect short circuits, help them to integrate so that you can process and help you navigate and flow more through life, because the health is always in the flow. And if we learn how to flow better, then we can help with our integration and our processing. We can help calm our minds, be more focused, be more coordinated, be more ready for presentations, for work, for school, for whatever life stressors come your way. Then you can be able to navigate them better, to surf those waves instead of being thrown by them. So remember, the health is in the flow, and we want the waves to come up and down and up and down. That is the nature of life. That is the nature of our being. That is nature. So there are storms and there are sunny days. And if we can learn to navigate, to grow through all of that, then we can access more health. And that is my mission, is to help bring the intuitive aspects of health back to medicine in practical and tangible ways so that you can access deeper healing and experience more peace, love, and joy in your everyday lives. And so this is EFT tapping as a way to bring those aspects, the intuitive, the mental, emotional, spiritual, into your life in a more practical and tangible way. So let's look at a little bit more about the research behind the EFT tapping. There has just been an abundance, this emergence of so much research coming through. And I see that EFT is being written about in all different medical organizations, from the Mayo Clinic to Purdue University to all other kinds of integrated medicine centers. And as I was saying before, there was this study that showed a 24% reduction in salivary cortisol levels after a 50-minute EFT session compared to 14% in the control group. That is a significant shift. But there's so much more that's come out since then. That was 2012. And then in 2019, there was an article in the Journal of Evidence-Based Integrative Medicine that showed that EFT improves multiple physiological markers and mental emotional symptoms. And so that include a decrease in anxiety, about 40%, decreased depression, about 35%, decrease in PTSD symptoms, 32%, pain 57%, and cravings, imagine that, 74%. So everyone that's been asking me, how can I reduce those cravings? How can I eat better? How can I reach more for nourishing foods? EFT could be something that could help you. They also found that it increased happiness about 30% and improved, again, cortisol levels 37%, as well as positive trends in heart rate variability and heart rate and blood pressure overall. This is so amazing. There was another study that was a review study in the Frontiers in Psychology. This was done in 2022, led by Church and other researchers in California. And they found, quote, successful independent replication studies have been carried out for anxiety, depression, PTSD, phobias, sports performance, and cortisol levels. And then they go on to say that meta-analyses evaluating the effect of EFT treatment have found it to be moderate to large. The effect of this is moderate to large. That is huge. So you would think that with that kind of effect, it would be much more known and commonly used, but it's not. And so that's why I'm here today, is to help share this information with you. And I also wanted to look at a little bit more detail so you could have some better understanding of emotional freedom technique and those acupressure points involved. So generally, there's so many details to talk about here, but I'm going to go through just the briefest introduction. So to do EFT, you start by saying a setup statement. And this setup statement is done at what is called the karate chop point. So it's on the side of your hand underneath your pinky. And so you could tap both hands together, both sides of the hands underneath the pinky together to activate that point. And this point is actually related to the stomach meridian. And if you think about, I'm sorry, this point is related to the small intestine meridian. And the small intestine meridian is related to our solar plexus chakra. And if we think about more energetically in a metaphorical way too, it's how we digest life. So how are we digesting both difficult things, and how are we digesting things that we set goals for, intentions and our purposes, because there might be resistance to either one. We might be resistant to digesting difficult things. We might be resistant to processing certain emotional discomforts, but we also could be resistant to things that are good for us. Hence, difficulty eating well or having those cravings. And there's so many reasons of why that might be the case. But if we could just give a little nudge direction of more flow, then that would help so much. A little bit of wiggle room. Just think about that river carving out a canyon over time. A little bit of wiggle room goes a long way. So we start with this point and we say a setup phrase to address whatever the issue is. So I get anxious in social situations. I'm nervous about this test I have the next day. I'm upset about whatever somebody said to me, or had an argument, or maybe overall I don't feel good enough. So even though all of that, and you would tap on the point while saying that or thinking it, I am open to accepting myself. I am open to loving myself. I am open to integrating and processing these things. I'm open to navigating with more ease. This point, the small intestine meridian, is about radical acceptance. But if you can't do the radical acceptance, which would be, even though I sometimes don't feel good enough, or even though I'm nervous about this thing, I totally love and completely accept myself. So that would be a radical acceptance. Accepting yourself, loving yourself, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what you've been through. It doesn't mean that maybe there might have been mistakes along the way, or it doesn't mean that you can't change, but it means that you love yourself through every step. That would be the radical acceptance. But you can soften that with an openness, just acknowledging that I'm open to change. I'm open to feeling more relaxed. I'm open to navigating more. So you would say, even though, and then whatever the issue is, I am open to loving and accepting myself more. Okay. So that helps you set up the digestion of whatever the issue is. And then we move through the tapping sequence. And we start with inside the eyebrow. So right where the eyebrows start, towards the middle there. And you can tap with a couple fingers. It's okay if it's not completely um, accurate, because if you use a couple fingers, you're going to cover the point and it's going to be okay. And when we go inside the eyebrows there, that is the bladder meridian. And the bladder meridian is associated with fear. So things that you're scared of, things like you can be scared about things that don't even feel like a physical threat. Like I'm scared to talk about my emotions. I'm scared to talk about things that I'm nervous about. And that's okay. So you could use that as a setup phrase. So as you go through the tapping sequence, then you would say these reminder phrases of whatever the issue is, or you could just run through whatever the difficulty is and say different aspects of it. But this inside the eyebrows would be for the bladder meridian, so processing fear. And then we go outside the eyes. So this is on that bony part outside the eyes. If you had like the center of your eyes, you're looking straight ahead, and that bony part, then you would tap on that. And that's the side of the eyes. And this is the gallbladder meridian. So the gallbladder meridian is closely related to the liver meridian. So we think of frustration and anger, or even rage. And this also has to do with digestion as well. So if you have any of that, then this point would be important. We go through the whole sequence. So even if there might be some points that are more applicable than others, but if you cover the whole, then it helps to smooth out your energy, your meridians throughout your whole being. So that side of the eye, again, gallbladder meridian related to the liver meridian, and anger, frustration. Then we go out under the eyes. If you're looking straight ahead, it would be right under your pupils, right under the eyes. And then that would be the stomach meridian. So our stomach is often when we have worries, anxiety, those looping worries, fear of something bad that's going to happen, even though we might not have a realistic view of that, or it could be worry from whatever source. So that would be the stomach meridian. And then we go under the nose, and that is a governing vessel. So this is part of the midline meridians, and that is important for so many of the points coming together. And under that, we have conception vessel. So this is under your chin. So right under your lip, right under your mouth. And that'll be that right at that line of your chin, just above your chin and between your lip and your chin, the bottom of your chin, basically. So that is a conception vessel. Again, another midline meridian, and it helps to integrate everything. And if we get into more detail about that, is also with governing vessel and conception vessel, it's also integration of masculine and feminine energies. We need all of us. So masculine energies tend to be things that are more linear and analytical. It doesn't have to do with gender per se. And then feminine energies have to do with more creativity and birthing things into the world. So creation. And these need to work together like the yin and yang to feel balanced and whole. And then the next acupuncture point there, or acupressure point, is right at the start of the collarbones. So in the center, you could tap there with one hand or with two hands. And you could tap both points or on each side, or you could just do one. So whatever is more convenient for you. Again, the start of the collarbones, so it will be towards the center of the body. and tapping there. This is the kidney meridian. And this will also be related to fear, but also sadness and grief. If those are difficult things to process, and this will be an important point. Then we move on to under the arms. This will be right at, if you bra strap line for women or right at the nipple line for men. It can be on one side or both sides. And this is related to the spleen meridian. And the spleen you can think of course, for your immune system, but also your identity of self. This is how your immune system is able to function properly. So you're not overly responsive, fighting off things that are safe, like in allergies or autoimmune diseases where you're fighting yourself, and you don't necessarily like have to soak up all other energies from the world. So having a sense of self, even though we're all part of the oneness, it's having that sense of self. And then at the very top of the head, the crown of the head, right in the center there, this is a meeting place for multiple meridians. So again, integration. And we tend to take a nice big breath there. So let's do just a very brief experiential with breathing, and just notice your breathing as it is now. Do you feel any restrictions to your breathing? Is there any tension in your breathing? Is it easy to take a deep breath? Or is there some resistance, like a catch to your breath? And then to score it, like that resistance. What do you feel? Like, is there a lot of resistance or none at all? Like, so is it not a problem? That would be 0. And the really hard would be maximum resistance would be 10. So hardest problem ever would be 10. Or you could score it with your hands, like palms together would be, doesn't bother me at all. To hands way out would be, yes, this is a really big issue for me. So whatever it feels like for you, you're the judge, and you get to build these data points for yourself. So you can start, and like how does your breathing feel? Completely at ease, or is there some resistance? And then measure that for yourself, 0 to 10, or with your hands. And then let's go through this tapping sequence to have a brief experiential. I just did this with a corporation and one of their employee groups, where it was amazing to see people have such a response, or any response, after just a few minutes. So see if you've noticed something. And if you don't, that's okay too, because there's lots of aspects that we could go through. But we will start with the karate chop point. So this is on the side of your hand underneath your pinky. And you can tap on that with your other fingers of the other hand, or you can tap both hands together and get them on both sides. So we'll say the setup phrase. Even though I'm not breathing as freely as I could, I'm open to relaxing and breathing with more ease. Even though I have a catch in my breath, I totally love and accept myself. Even though this is kind of weird, I don't really know what we're doing, I'm not sure if I'm going to get anything out of it, I'm open to learning something new. Okay, then 2 fingers inside the eyebrows, right at the start of the eyebrows. My breath is not completely free, or I could breathe with more ease. Or even, I'm not sure if I have a catch to my breath, whatever it is you're thinking, feeling now, or I don't even know how I'm breathing. You can start with the confusion, that's okay. And side of the eyes, I wish I could breathe with more ease. Or if I could flow more through life. I wish I could digest things more easily. Whether emotions or thoughts or physical things. Under the eyes, my breath is somewhat tense, or I'm not sure how I'm breathing, but I'd like to be more connected to my breath and my breathing. Under the nose, there might be some restrictions in my breathing. I'm not sure. And I wonder if this exercise will help me at all. Will it help me relax? Will I feel more at ease? Under the mouth? I don't know, but it's a possibility, and I'm open to these possibilities, and I'm open to feeling more relaxed, less anxious, and breathing with more ease. I'm open to thinking more clearly. Start at the collarbones. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to do new things. I'm willing to change to help myself. Under the arm. I wonder what's going to happen to my breathing. Maybe it'll be the same, and maybe it'll be easier. I wonder what will happen to my body. I wonder what will happen to my thoughts. It might be the same, it might be different. I'm open to all of those possibilities. I'm open to change. I'm open to staying the same. Top of the head. I'm open to loving and accepting myself completely no matter what. And take a nice big breath. And then that's it. And then you would score again how you feel with your breathing or anything else that you had thought of. And from 0 to 10, either palms together or out, and see what you notice. There might be other aspects. It's not about clearing things completely. It's not about fixing everything even. It's about being able to process and understand. It's about integrating fully with yourself and approaching yourself with love and compassion and gentleness. And in doing that, you will start to teach your mind as you build these data points that there is an efficiency to being gentle with yourself. There's an efficiency to learning to incorporate these self-help tools. There's an efficiency to doing a small thing consistently every day, because it will have this ripple effect throughout your life and also to the people around you. So even if there's something that you're bothered about in somebody else, my suggestion would be to look inward in yourself and see how you can address that discomfort within you, and instead of trying to control something outside of yourself, address those stuck points and see where that leads you. I would love to hear from you if this is helpful for you at all. And we have more resources on this, on EFT tapping, and I'll put those together and start to arrange that. I'll put the link in the comments on if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube. I'll put that in the comments and the details before, or if you're listening to this on other podcasting platforms, I'll also drop it into the detail section below so that you can have something to download and refer to. Would love to hear from you wherever you are. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Please leave a review wherever you can. It helps so much to get the word out, and share this with anyone that you think could benefit from it. Lots of love to you. It's Dr. Arlene Diamco, the Multidimensional MD. I look forward to being with you next time on Wednesdays on another episode of the Multidimensional MD.